Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is well, and thank you for tuning in to the Amateur Footballer Unhinged. And Coach Rick has just literally, I think he's using dial-up. So let's just take it from here. And again, thank you to everyone that's kind of tuning in. And we're gonna go. Actually, let me just introduce the panel. Jamal Hon from the London FA. We have Coach Barry, founder of Independent FC. We have Emeka, who's a semi-pro footballer. We have Paul, aka Black Klopp, who's the assistant manager at Independent FC Vets. We have Coach Murray, who is part of the London Olympians American football team, the best team in the UK. Yes, I've said it. And we have Nana, who plays for Independent FC and also is a level 5 referee. And then we also have Paul, who is the captain of People's FC, who are pioneers regarding charity football. How is everyone?
Yeah, good, thank you.
All good.
Very well.
Good stuff. Okay, so let's just start in it really. Des Walker, Paul Parker, Paul Ince, John Barnes, and Marcus Rashford, Jordan Sancho, Raheem Sterling, and Saka. All talented players, all England players who have all experienced racism, either playing for the country or playing for their clubs. And again, this is a topic that is very close to everyone's heart on this panel. And I just want to say right now, this could be again, hey, like if YouTube are watching, we are going to be talking about very hard-hitting topics that need to be talked about. We are not Sky, we are not BT Sports, we are not Amazon Prime, we're not Netflix. We can say whatever we have to say because we are the people that literally watch football, we play football, and we are at the grassroots ground level. So I just want to say that from the get-go. Let me kind of start with Nana. Nana, what's your thoughts about everything that's been happening in the past week?
Where do I start? From disappointment to sickening, through disgust, through pain, especially for these youngsters. I'm not usually short of words, but I don't know. Something needs to be done. It's as simple as that. It's just gone on for too long. Something needs to be done. Even in some WhatsApp groups, for example, that I'm in, when these topics come up, people tend to say, "Oh, let's leave it. This is not. Don't share these things." When these racist things were happening and they were being shared all around, doing their rounds on social media, people were saying, "Oh, we don't want to see these things on social media, so don't share them." That is part of the problem. People don't want to have those uncomfortable conversations. But then again, with all due respect to, it's like people from the LGBT community, for example, as soon as they scream and shout something, you see the support, you see something getting done. Now, when we talk about racism, this is basic, fundamental human rights to be treated equally across all spectrum. How difficult is that? How difficult is that for you to see someone else and consider him another human being, as opposed to feeling inferior, like some monkey, is an animal beneath you? We can go on and on, but it's this weekend. The whole tournament this weekend has been really, really upsetting. And I'm glad on the Monday I was home, because I tell you now that I will probably be in jail if I went out on the streets and I got any of that in my face. That's how I felt, throughout tournament, especially the weekend past. But I'll let the other members, have a go.
Coach Murray, again, thank you for coming onto the show. And I know this is predominantly a football show, but again, you are actually part of the sporting community. How have you looked on racism in sport, and how do you feel as a kind of white man listening to black people hear time and time again about certain things that are kind of happening to them? Is it kind of something that you can sympathize? Is it something that you can I don't know, compute? I mean, I would love to kind of get your opinion about the whole topic.
Thanks guys for having me on for a start. You know what, it's extremely difficult for anybody to come on as a white person. Let's get it out there. I mean, we are, for all intents and purposes, we don't understand how the feeling is on the other side when things like this happen. It's unfair. It's not right. As Nana was saying, there is a right of all people. Doesn't matter what your colour is. There's a right of all people to be respected. And what happens for I love football. I love England. I really love all the things that go on. I'm a bit of a mixed bag because I've got French hereditary, I've got Irish hereditary, I've got Welsh in there. I'm a real mixed up kid, and I love it all. I really enjoy it all. And I really hate seeing people be abused, and certainly over colour. I can understand us all of us could be standing in a stadium, and our favourite player misses a goal, and we'll call him out for that, but we don't call him out for his colour. That's just that is wrong, and it's an easy thing to say from because it doesn't happen to me, and I can that's where it becomes difficult. It doesn't happen to me, and so I can't relate to what you guys go through and what other people go through in that respect.
Coach Murray, your relationship with Coach Rick goes back over 30 years. Yeah. And, can you give us any examples of certain things that you've heard, going out with kind of Coach Rick, and, have you kind of seen and, heard like anything?
Well, the funniest thing is we were talking about this the other day. We were talking about how we used to do a lot of traveling as the Olympians. So we go abroad and play games abroad. And the amount of times I travel abroad by car or whatever and don't get pulled over, there was 4 white guys in the car and 1 black guy in the car, Coach Rick. We get pulled. We not only get pulled going out, we get pulled coming back. And, we're all sitting there and going, what's this about? We're all British. And you just get that look, yeah, but you've got somebody that we don't consider quite right, or and you just think, oh, really, come on, the world's moved on surely from all this rubbish, but you still get it, and it's wrong. It's wrong, but the thing is, what do we do about it? How do we improve this situation? How do we move on and get rid of this rubbish?
Yeah.
That's the biggest question of all, isn't it?
And Paul, as in aka Black Klopp, I'd kind of like you to try and answer Coach Murray's question. How like do we get rid of this kind of hatred?
All right, let's be honest. It's never going to go away. There's always going to be people who don't matter how much you educate them, they're just not going to like people of color. And I think every single person of color knew last week Sunday when the boys missed it what was coming. I put it on my Facebook page before the abuse even started. I put it on my Facebook page. We have a problem in this country where they don't understand their history because it's not taught in the schools properly. They don't understand. If they were to go back and re-educate people, the dynamics might be a little bit different. They might be able to see us in a different light. It's never going to go away. There's always going to be some who just don't. You ask them why, I don't know. Ask them why they don't like Meghan Markle. I don't know. I just don't like her. No, it's just a stupid answer. It's the same with people of color. They've never met, never met all us. They just don't like us for whatever reason. It's okay when we're scoring goals or when we're winning gold medals for England. We're talking about England at the moment. We say that about any country actually, but we're talking about England at the moment. But when you stop winning, you're just another black. And it's sad. And I'm not saying every white person, because that would be stupid. I'm saying the racist ones. There is good and bad. There's good and bad in all races. There's good and bad in all races. I would not want to be born any other color. If I was to go, I wouldn't want to be born any other color than a black person. I love it. Absolutely love it. We are a people of blessed. We are a blessed people. So blessed. It's just shame. And it doesn't come as a surprise. So, listening to the guys on the panel, it didn't come as a surprise. And I'm sure Barry, I'm sure Jamal, I'm sure Nana, I'm sure Emek, I'm sure you, on Sunday, I'm sure you knew what
100%.
Yeah, exactly. We knew what was coming.
We knew.
It's just in the DNA, from Priti Patel to Johnson. It's there. It's in the DNA.
Yeah,
and it comes out sometimes.
You know what, Paul? Honestly, funny enough, I was watching it with my daughter. It's the first time that she's actually sat down and actually watched the whole game. She was so excited and whatnot. And literally, when kind of England lost, she was like looking all somber. And I looked over to the missus, and when she went to bed, I'm like, and I think we even said it in the group. Yeah, I think we all said it in the group. I'm like, just give it about half an hour and just watch all of the racist tweets come out. And it's such a shame that we're thinking about that when again we like talking about inches. If like Rashford scores his penalty, hey, you know what, the dynamics of the whole penalty shootout changes. And I think what it is, just kind of giving my kind of 2 cents. As kind of black people, this has been going on for years. It's just now because of social media, because of smartphones. Now everyone I was like, oh, okay, so this is what you guys experience. Well, we've been experiencing this for like years. It's like just the fact
this is not a chip. This is not the chip on your shoulder. This is real.
Again, if like you and I were like, literally talking about police officer racially abusing us 20 years ago, everyone's going to believe the police officer. Now everything is being filmed, everything is being captured now, and this has been going on for years. And again, hey, like there's literally some like people that just didn't believe a lot of the stories and they're kind of going, and the kind of goings on, and like now we can kind of now like see it. But that's kind of me ranting a little bit. Let me stop. Paul, who's the captain of the People's FC. Again, I would kind of love to kind of get your opinion about this topic.
As everyone said, it's difficult being sort of a white person. coming across, because I said we probably don't get that side of the abuse. What I don't understand is, I've gone to many various sporting events, whether it be football, cricket, rugby. It only seems to be highlighted mainly in football terms. There's a cricket match the other day, England, Pakistan, yeah? The supporters were all mixed up together, couldn't care less who they were, all dancing, singing together. You know, it seems to be highlighted at football. When you're born, you're not born a racist. There was a picture in the paper with Kevin De Bruyne's child and Sterling's child, you know, sitting there happily, just talking along. It's about education. I think the other Paul sort of mentioned it. It's about being educated about the histories and, you know, what's right and wrong. 30 years ago, there's comedians cracking off jokes which could be racist, you know, and probably everyone was all laughing and joking about it then. Probably over the last 10 years, it's been highlighted a lot more, and especially sort of with the George Floyd and the BLM moving forward, it's been highlighted a lot more in the media, which is why, you know, a lot of people are taking the knee, the stance, etc. As I said, you know, I've come through, I was born up raised in Surrey, you know, mixed schools, black people, white people, Asia, you name it. You know, there didn't seem to be a problem, or what I'd seen anyway. I go back to sort of one of my colleagues playing football. He's a really good footballer, Raja. You know, really good footballer. He got racially abused on a football pitch, went to the police, and they didn't take any further action. You know, and kind of it then puts in the head in, if I was to report it again, what's the point? Because nothing's happening. Now, Raja's from a sort of a Punjab descent. So, you know, you can see where it's sort of difficult and it hit him hard. But I said he reported it like he should done, but after the investigation, nothing happened. And it happened on a football pitch.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, you know, I've just got a question to Coach like Murray and to Paul. Do you guys feel well, not uncomfortable, but you guys are probably more aware now of black culture, black traditions? You know, is it something that you are kind of I'd say investing in and indulging in, or, you know, is it just, you know, yeah, I would kind of love to get your thoughts about that. And I'll start with Coach Murray.
I don't know enough about black culture and traditions. I'm truly honest. I have gone to friends' homes and spent time with them, but we've never really sat down and spent time talking about tradition, because, and it may sound blasé, but like with Tariq and with a couple of other friends that I have, we're all English or we're British, and the culture is British, and I don't, that for me it's just a different sense. It's just my personal way. I don't feel that there's a need to know, but it's just that we're mates, and it's never really come about that that they felt the need to tell me or me to ask. It's just that we're mates and we spend time together, and that's, to me that's more important, because I fall into things. If Tariq would say to me, oh, let's do this, and it may end up being something that is part of his culture, or mum and dad's culture, or whatever else. I mean, because Tariq was born in Scotland, so he's British as far as that's it. But his mum and dad have come from Kashmir, and they have a culture that they've brought with them that Tariq knows and understands, and he could share that with me. But that would be great. I mean, that's a wonderful thing, but it's never crossed my mind to force him to give that to me, or me pass on something from my my side of things. So we're just pals and we go on with it. But I do think what Paul was saying earlier about the education, there is a lack of education in this country. It's been going on since I was a little kid, and you weren't allowed to talk about empire and all those things. But it is through the empire that we've got such a wonderful culture, that we've got such a rounded group of people like yourselves. So, we're on here, and we may not be here together if it hadn't, been, not that it was a good thing, let's put it that way, not that that was a good thing that what happened, but from that, we've got great people in this country of all types of backgrounds. And it makes this country better, in my opinion, from having all those different backgrounds and all the different cultures mixing in, because it makes the country stronger. I just think that the history side of things has been left out far too long. That people need to be able to see what was bad about what we did, what this country did, and they need to see what was good, what's come good from it, And I really do think that we need to have that balance brought back in. The kids need to understand, so that as they grow up, they can fight against all this rubbish that goes on. But that the bigger part of it is educating the media. Yeah. Because the media, from the weekend, the media jumped on this stuff, and it was headlined so much that nobody really praised those players for getting to the finals.
Yeah, that's true. It's absolutely true.
But when the media has an agenda, it's very difficult. We as people, you, me, we need to be continuously ousting these bigots.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the Sun newspaper, for once in I don't know how long I can remember, the Sun newspaper was the only one who actually even put something on the front page when Sterling was doing well. But we know that this very same Sun newspaper has been the frontliners in all this nonsense. So if they have an agenda, they'll obviously put what they want to put. But if they have an agenda to continue the narrative that we don't care, and if Boris Johnson, if Patel, they're all towing the same tune, like, yeah, I don't agree with them kneeling down. It's difficult. You and me, we need what we can control is what we need to do, and continue doing that. That's one of the ways it can change. We should be able to educate our friends, our families, right from our own households, and let it expand.
Yeah. Let me kind of get to Coach Barry. Coach Barry, again, I'd kind of love to get your opinions about this topic.
I think the fire was started from the tournament started, from what the media was doing. It was very disrespectful what they said about Sterling from the beginning. It was very disrespectful what they did to, is it Phillips? When they talk about the Jamaican dad being in prison, his mum. There was a Sterling got man of the match in the interview and said, did that justify you being in the squad? And there's just the build up in the media. And I think we've got to look at that as well, the establishment and what they do. And it's been going on for years and years and years, and just let it go. And they can accuse us over and over again. And it's hungry football. So what else goes on? Some people recognize it and some people say to ignore it. Everybody knows what it is. Everybody sees the discrimination, but nothing has really been dealt with it. And that's what's so disappointing. I think when you talk about England, I think Paul and whoever, Murray, I think his name, you've seen the change. Like my parents, when they came in the 50s, 60s, 70s, the country has changed so much. And for a lot of those people who's been here for so long, they can't accept it. Some people can, and some people will never accept the change of the influx that has come in over the years. So we've got to recognize that. And remember, the establishment is not helping us. There's still a set of people who are privileged, even though they might deny it, but there is a privilege. And it's set. Remember, these people can still get away with all these slander and vile words. But look how prominent now, if you say anything about the LGBT, you're going to jail or you're sacked from your job. But you can still be so discriminated against people of color. So I think you keep talking about education, but it's the system has to bring in education. I work in the schools. There's hardly any Black history taught, maybe for a week. But LGBT and stuff like that is taught every day in the schools now. It's like a new agenda. So when are we going to get our rights and stuff? That's why I don't march or things like that. People keep bringing up Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is the liberation of gay movement. People look on their website and read, I keep saying that. And now they're being charged for fraud by £1 million houses. None of the money has gone to where it's meant to go. So really look at these associations and stuff. We need to look at ourselves as well. In my area, there's been 5 black on black murders in the last month. And that's where we're going wrong. We have to look at ourselves as well. What we're doing, are we educating ourselves? Are we in a position to move forward? But there's so much going on. I've just read something that what Saka said. Saka said he won't let the moment or the negativity break him. Sancho said, hate will never win. And I really feel sorry for Sancho. I'm sure that was his first penalty for England. I don't understand why Saka was taking a penalty. But such a game of that magnitude, a little boy who's never taken, just going to English squad, and he's got out taking the 5th penalty. I didn't understand that. We all know the racism's here. It's going to stay for now. There's change. People talk about multiculturalism, but that multiculturalism is only in the bedroom. There's none in the boardrooms and things like that where we can make change. And that's where we need to make change. And I keep talking about, I'm really talking about us. We've got to get structures and power structures where we mean something in this country. There's no real power base. There's no real strong communities anymore. Well, I don't see it anymore anyway. That's why our children are just running wild on the streets and killing each other. If we don't get ourselves in order, we ain't going to get anywhere. And this case, it ain't about civil rights, which America got so wrong. This has always been about human rights. Our human rights have never really been recognized around the world. And it never will be until we go into something like the European Court or the Human Rights Court and start getting things. So if they do say something, they will punish accordingly. Now, it's nothing. There's no real punishment. So the media can still get away with their racism. Individuals can still get away with their racism. And we'll be back. World Cup next year, you'll see it again. You'll see the starting of the fire in the media, the slight gestures they've made, the comments they put in there, and they get away with it. No one complains because we've got no structure to go in was powerful enough. You understand? Just like you've got the Jewish Information League. Anything you say about Jews, they've got a power base what goes in and it defends them. What we got? We've got nothing. We've got absolutely nothing what defends us or protects us in a power base. That's really all I've got to say. Until that comes into it, like you said, Paul said, Murray said, the education, the mixing of cultures properly, not this rubbish multiculturalism, but a real power base where we can stand up and say, this is us, we've got a base, things will change.
Yeah, thank you for that. And thank you for all of the comments. Owen Williams, thank you for your comments. You've literally put a few things in I'm generally an optimist person, but sadly I agree all of the time there are different nationalities and religions. There will always be conflict between groups. Best we hope for is to reduce ignorance, maybe offend, offenders can be publicly outed, and access to free and reduced public services that will and support can be stopped, i.e. state pensions, NHS, no benefits. You know, hey, that is something.
To breathe. I think the biggest manipulation is this colour thing. of black, white. That's the biggest manipulation going right now. It's all fake. There's no such thing as blackness. There's not black man passport or white man passport or black land. There's no legal or law where you get power from that. You all should know. Problem with us, because where we're coming from, slavery and all that, we really, some of us are so mixed up, we don't know our nationality. We do not know, we're not colors, we're not crayons. So all this black, white, brown, it's all bullshit. Your nationalities, your tribes, it's bullshit. It's complete bullshit, manipulation. So I don't agree with none of that. It's all rubbish. It's all brought into it. African American was just brought in the other day. Go look at African American. That was just brought in the other day. It's a load of bullshit. And because we don't study, we don't understand certain things, we fall for it all the time. The establishment know exactly what they're doing to divide and conquer us with all these colors and bullshit. Seriously. I ain't got no time for it. I'm on to more positive things. We got to deal with our own problems. We're killing each other every day in the streets. I'm not making this little thing distract me from what I need to do out there on the streets and save some of our brothers and sisters who are getting murdered every single day out there on the streets. 5 murders in a month just in South London.
All my bosses just literally come in and racism in football will never change. It's just as simple. It starts with adults, which children follow on thinking it's okay. Let me kind of go to Jamal. Love to kind of get your thoughts about this topic.
Well, you shouldn't have come here. I'll tell you that. Yeah. Well, it's such a shame watching this team progress from the group stages all the way to the final, and then everything about the final was a real sort of nightmare in a way. Even tactically, scoring so early, falling for those sort of traps that a lot of teams sort of fall for when they score early, and then watching the game sort of slip away, then it culminating to penalties. And people can blame whoever they like. It is a bit disappointing from Gareth Southgate to not have that ability of foresight. I saw it immediately, just when Sancho missed, then thinking, wow, Saka. I remember thinking to myself immediately, I think I said it out loud, we can't have 3 black people missing a penalty here. And I don't care about, you shouldn't be thinking that way, or this is society. It's not about blame. It's just, that's the way things are now, and seeing that immediately, I'm like, wow, here we go. Saka's missed. We're going to come into a pretty big storm. I think the difference probably is social media is the true sort of enemy here, unfortunately, because I suppose if there was no social media, this would have been a few people saying a few things vocally or whatever. But now social media provides that platform to say it out loud, and then it can be screenshot, it can be recorded, it can be. It's just so easy to sort of record these sort of hateful messages. So that's how thing is. In terms of racism, I mean, everyone knows where I come from. I mean, racism and social injustice, things aren't as bad as they used to be. I suppose technically that means it's improving, but things aren't as good as a lot of people think it is either. I think that's what the biggest issues are. And it's I think some of the common things that are being said in America is, well, why are you expecting people to treat athletes from ethnically diverse communities equally when people bet on horses, people bet on dogs, and they like these dogs a lot, they like these horses a lot, but they don't see them as equals, and not to compare black people or anyone from ethnically diverse communities to animals, but it's just, you can really, really be happy when that horse wins you money, and when it doesn't, you can be really, really upset. So with that, when you look at things like that, then that wouldn't be a surprise if Rashford scored that penalty, the same people that try to deface his morale would have been putting flowers on it, or maybe drawing a crown or something positive on it. instead of defacing it and the racial sort of hateful messages that we put on it. So when you look at things like that, things are improving a lot, but it's nowhere near as good as people think it is, and we just have a lot of ground to still make up.
Okay. Let me try and add Coach Rick. Actually, is he here? I know he's going to try again one more time. Honestly, Coach Rick, please pay for your broadband. Please, this is not the show. This is not the show, Coach Rick. Okay, all right, he's here. Let's see if we can add him in. Coach Rick. Coach Rick.
I can hear you now.
Coach Rick, would love to get your we kind of look to kind of get your opinion about this topic that we're talking about.
Unfortunately, you probably noticed I dropped out 1 million times so far out of this. So I've not kept.
Oh, geez. All right, Coach Murray, we are definitely going to banter him after the show. Emeka, I would love to get your thoughts.
I think agree with everyone. I think just following on from what Jamal was saying, I think social media is the biggest thing. I think the main thing for me is about accountability. I think the social media just gives no one any accountability for what they're saying at all. I think with so many other things which the government benefits from, they're happy to take down. Okay, before you do this, before you drive a car, you need to be able to either take a course or pass a test, give people your details. And I think social media should be the same. I think if you're saying such things, there needs to be that accountability, but there isn't. And the main reason for that is because of the money. That if that was on there, those kind of sites wouldn't be as appealing. The Twitters and Instagrams, they won't be able to charge as much for sponsorships and things like that, because they're going to have less people on their platform, because it's less appealing, because people won't be able to spread that rhetoric that they want. And ultimately, I can speak. I'm sure the other black people on the panel can attest to what I'm saying. It's very rare that you just get someone, a racist, face-to-face, man-to-man, one-on-one, ever say anything racist. It'll be behind a computer screen or when they're 10 man up. It's never a one-on-one thing. I find them all they're cowards. They're never going to say it to your face. So when you give them this veil that they can hide behind with no accountability, then that's what's going to happen, unfortunately. And like everyone else, we all saw it coming. It wasn't it wasn't a surprise, which is the most disappointing thing for me. The worst thing about it is that you're kind of just apathetic to it all now. It's just it is what it is. But I think if we go look at the NBA, I think what's different there, which maybe it's something that we could look into, is kind of the financial side of things. They're in a position where I think something like 80% of the NBA is black. With the whole George Floyd thing, they're all taking the knee before matches. And then a few weeks later, you had the shooting of Jacob Blake. And it was during the playoffs. And then LeBron just got everyone together, was like, you know what, we're not playing. So when, they had all these, ESPN had all these games that were due to be televised, and all the players okay, well, the NBA is not going ahead. This is how you're going to treat black people in our communities, and we're not going to play for you. We're not just like a circus that we just entertain you, and then, everyone else who's not a sports person, who doesn't entertain, and that's how you treat them. We need to be able to get to that point. I think England have got enough black players now that if that's how they're going to be treated. I know these players, I'm sure they want the caps and things like that, but they can band together and be like, if it's how it's going to be playing for England, it's not for us. And then see how well England do without your Sterlings and your Rashfords and things like that. That would be my thoughts on the issue.
That's not going to happen.
That's what I'm saying. But if you look throughout history, people have to, fall on their sword for others. If you want it to get better for other people coming up, you can't just keep doing the same thing and expect a different result.
Well, we have the question.
Insanity, isn't it? So someone has to do something different.
We have to question that, because with the NBA, we're dealing with people who are actually getting killed here. In this situation, we are talking about hateful messages, which is really, really bad and avoidable. But people aren't losing their lives as a result of that discrimination. But I think
Is it not a gateway? Do you know?
It would no. It would definitely have an impact.
It starts there. They wouldn't be shooting people if they weren't racist. It starts.
But does it make it any better if the guys step away? I mean, isn't it better for us all to stand together and point at these people that are doing this and say, we don't want you. We don't want you hanging about. We just clear off. You know, we just do not want the racist bullshit. But the problem, you know,
Murray, can I ask you, Coach?
Yeah.
Coach Murray, can I ask you?
Yeah.
You just said we don't want you. Where would you want them to go? Because it's not a football problem; it's society's problem.
I mean, it's the hardest thing, isn't it, of all? Because I'm
still going to be here.
Of course they are, but we don't want them involved with ourselves. We can ignore them. We can step away from it. It's like you know, if something is on TV you don't like, you can turn it off. We should be able to turn that off and get on as a group of people. I might be talking out the back of my head here. You know, as I said earlier, it's very easy for a white person that doesn't get this the abuse, you know, to say things, but the people here, right, have the same view that it's wrong, it's out of order, it shouldn't happen to anyone. It does happen. We all know it does happen. It happens around the world. It doesn't matter where you go, what you do. There are always idiots in this world that are going to point a finger, call a name, be absolutely pathetic. But you know, we've got to find a way of dealing with this better than just saying, right, well, we're not going to be involved in that anymore, or allowing our kids to get involved in something else that makes it worse.
That's the thing. You're saying that you'll be like, okay, we don't want you. The thing is, ultimately, racism is a crime. It's very simple. If someone is committing a crime, then there should be accountability, and then
absolutely,
that's the way it should be. And social media has made it so that people see other people committing a crime and it's calm. Whereas I don't know why it's not like driving, where before you can have a social media account, you need to verify your address, your identity, etc., etc. Just like a speeding fine, like no one needs to be around. All right, boom, you did this, you're a racist here, here's your fine. If you do it 2-3 times, then you go to prison. Like, it could be very easily done. Like, it's not a big thing for these tech companies to have people verify their accounts.
But that's the issue.
To verify my account just to like order it through. It's more security for me to order chicken wings than it is to be racist.
Yeah, Emeka's right. But the thing is, that won't cure racism. That will just stop the way in which
exactly
people and the issues I have is, like, you know, what Emeka said earlier as well. Like, if the players took a stand and didn't play, you know, that would have a huge impact. I don't think any of us want to see that. I don't think Emeka wants to see that. It'll definitely have a huge impact. I don't know if it have the best impact, but it'll definitely have an impact.
Okay, sorry. Well, you know what? And again, I totally agree in terms of what Black Klopp said at the start. Racism will always be here. You know, it's just one of those things. You know, discreet, non-verbal, verbal. You know.
So, Reese, can you let Jamal finish what you're saying, please? Because you're just waffling on.
So, literally, what I'm trying to say, Nana, is, and again, hey, like, you know,
I said let Jamal speak.
You know what, Nana, this
it's waffling on. Jamal, please speak. You were saying something sensible.
Go on in. Oh, okay. Go on in,
yeah, it just worries me when I think some people are saying, yeah, you know, I think I forgot who it was, which club it was now, but they were like, yeah, it was some white player saying, yeah, we're not going to allow any of our black teammates to be racially abused. If we hear it, we're going to walk off the pitch. Now, we need to remember as well, okay, irrespective of all these other factors, this is a competition, and we're all very competitive. And you can say, oh, well, we have to take action towards these hateful people, but without allowing them to see that they're having such an impact. Now, getting racially abused when you're 3-0 up in a World Cup qualifier, walking off the pitch, I don't know about that, because, we're not here to be racially abused, but you are here to win. And because if you think about it, if you are walking off the pitch, if you are making a stand and boycotting games, you're telling these hateful people, which I don't know what the numbers are, but it does seem a smaller minority than ever. It still could be a huge number. It could still be 600,000 people or so. But I don't think we should spread the message, oh, well, hey, fans, all right, listen, when we're losing, just racially abuse some people and we'll get the game abandoned. So not saying, as I say back in the NBA, this isn't a shut up and dribble situation, meaning, oh, you get paid all this money, take it. But at the same time, it's like we have to find that balance. Now, for me, I think it's great. White people seem to be taking racism more serious than ever. You get racially abused, it's everywhere. I got racially abused. It got put all over on the Iran TV. So and it's highlighting it. It is putting it out there. It is more of a stand. It isn't more us versus them. It's us and them versus some of them. So that's how it is now. It is growth. It isn't enough. But the problem is, I know Raheem Sterling didn't get that much direct sort of racist stick because he didn't take a penalty, but he's shone throughout this tournament. Without him performing like that, England wouldn't got to the final. And to have Sancho, I know some of Southgate's decision was strange, but to see this end, this whole it's coming home, all this. I mean, all of us had a great time in the Euros. It really was a special time, and I cannot believe at the end of this we were speaking about hateful tweets. It's horrible.
Black Klopp, how do you feel having a mixed race daughter, growing up in this society? What is your biggest fear?
My biggest fear is killing a racist. That's my biggest fear. If he was to step to me or any of my family, that's my biggest fear. Because I know my temper. And listen, I work in a very white section of society, and when I'm at work, I'm professional and I don't talk like I do on Saturday. But there is a line. If you cross Monday to Friday or Saturday to Sunday, that there's a different Paul that you will see, and that definitely goes with my family as well. Obviously, when she grows up, during her learning, I will try to my best ability to explain to her that the world isn't as sweet as we would like it to be, that there are good and bad on both sides. I will teach her about her black side, proud black side, and of her mother's side as well. I'm just I'm just sad that there are people out there that are just very uneducated and dumb, that go back to where you come from, that old white van line, go back to where you come from. Okay, yeah, I was born in Dulwich. I speak better English than you, mate. You know what I mean? And stuff like, it's just sad. I just find it. I have this conversation with my best mate. We talk every day, and we find the racism thing is so strange and so dumb, because you can debunk their argument so quickly every single time, at every single turn that they come with, because they as I go back to it, they don't understand the history. They just don't understand the history. I know what Barry's saying, and he's right. But the history, I think, would shut some of them up. Not all of them, because as I said, they're racist. Shut some of them up. And maybe start the journey of them understanding that, you know, we were invited here to help your country after the Second World War, and it hasn't been a level playing field. It hasn't been a level playing field. You know, my father always said to me, my parents always said to me, I never understood it until I got a little bit older. And I think every black person of color has heard this conversation. You have to work double hard than the white person. And I never understood, what are you talking about, Dad? He just told me the stories that when he worked at the British Gas Board in Sydenham for 25 years, he worked there until he was retired. And when he first came to England, painting gas meters that you have in your homes, that's what he used to do. And the white guy that used to do it used to paint 90, 100 a week. And when Dad come, they offered it to him, and he was doing like 300, you know, because they're hard-working people. And they couldn't understand why. They thought somebody else was helping him. They didn't understand why. We are hard-working people. You know, it's just what we are, you know. But you have to work double hard. Why is that? You have to work double hard for the same pay, for the same output. Why? All we're asking for is a level playing. We're not asking for 55%. We're asking for a level playing field and leave us to it. Just a level playing field and leave us to it. That's all we're asking for. And they still don't want that.
To add to what Paul's saying, this is the main reason why I hate the hateful messages, the racist tweets, just the clear, unobstructed racism, is because it allows white people within business and corporate structure to say, well, that isn't me. I would never say such hateful things. I would never hate against anyone who is human. So it makes them feel like they aren't racist in any way. And that isn't true. There are a lot of people who, similar to what Paul has just said, are a bit apprehensive about having someone from a different community working with them or getting promoted above them or working in a senior management position. And they'll do those sort of covert sort of things that aren't that obvious. And they think that, oh, well, I'm not that person. If I saw a black girl drowning, I would dive in to save her. You know, if I saw an Asian man having a sudden cardiac arrest, I would perform CPR. They would. They aren't hateful racists. However, they're a little worried about full equality. They are a little worried about inclusion and diversity, you know? And for me, I don't need to be white or part of a majority sort of race to understand it. Being around anything you aren't used to adds discomfort. Okay, you can see it as something I don't want to be around, or you can see it as part of the adjustment process, acclimatizing. But the biggest issue with such obvious hateful racism, it allows people within business to say, I'm not that, so therefore I'm not racist. And when they're treating people who are different in a negative way because they don't think it's hateful, they think it's okay. And that's the thing that I hate the most.
Coach Rick, I know that you've been dropping in and out, and I've been trying to add you in. Would love to get your thoughts about the topic that we're talking about regarding racism. Coach Rick. No, not today.
Are we gonna try? Can we try one more time?
No.
No.
Okay, go on, Coach. Talk away.
He's frozen again.
And I haven't followed all the thread. But the point that I want to make, am I being heard?
Yes.
Right. So the point that I want to make is that obviously, you know, we're involved in amateur sports. We're talking about amateur sports and professional, etc. But one of the things that occurs to me is that the racism and the hatred and all that comes from people who feel they have a sense of it's theirs, it belongs to them.
Okay.
Can I ask you to please? So just going back to what Emeka was saying earlier on, Barry didn't agree, but the issue of people boycotting, say black players coming together and saying for 6 months, I'm not playing unless something is done about this because I don't want to go on the pitch, go play football, for everybody to be happy and everybody to look at me on TV, and at the end of the day, I get all sorts of nonsense thrown at me. So I'm not playing until something is done about it, maybe for 6 months. I believe that we need that spark, that revolution.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen.
Hear me out. All I'm saying that if something happens where it hits them in the pocket the most, they're actually going to sit down and talk about it. Because like Paul said, this is not about giving 55%. This is not about giving more. Make it plain. Make it even. Why should I have to, go onto the pitch, play football, and some of my counterparts are worse, a lot worse, as you can see. And they do all the nonsense and they get nothing. So why would not...
Emeka, remember they're all under contract, They're all under contract.
So what?
No, it's
so
you know what I mean. In a in an
ideal
scenario.
Yes, but everybody doesn't want to lose money. Everybody look at what happened between Ferdinand and his brother when Les was racially abused by Terry. Now, when I read that, yes, I was so pissed because I didn't think his brother backed him up properly around the time.
And everyone knows that.
Because yes, but again, because he was in the England fold, he was doing really well. Yes, he didn't want to lose money. He didn't want to lose popularity or fame. He wanted to be. If he actually stood up and said, "This is my brother. Whether you don't pay me for the next, if my career is finished, I sue for my brother." People need to stand for something, and I'm saying that as soon as something is done, where it hits the pockets the most, where it creates those ripples, where it creates those major conversations, you can educate all you want. Nothing is ever going to change.
You know what, Nana, and you know what?
And that's why we need to talk about what should actually be done.
You know what, Nana?
Not spend.
And you know what? I do agree with you, and I know Jamal said something similar, and yeah, you know what? We are very privileged as well. Hey, we are like living in a kind of generation where we like do have freedom of speech. We like do have freedom of like movement. If we're talking about Nana, we have food on the table, we have lighting, we are kind of literally talking about like the basics. Listen. Listen, you know what? No, and again, I can't speak for any of you guys, but I know I haven't had a brick through my window or literally someone writing nigger or NF on my door. I know, if we're talking 50, 40 years ago, that was the common thing. So for like people to literally boycott and actually stand up as a community, people were more willing. Now, and exactly with the Rio Ferdinand, and literally, if we're kind of talking about the kind of black players that literally play for England, yeah, and I think Sterling probably got it most because he was born in Jamaica. But he was thinking, well, you know what? Right now, I have the opportunity to play for the brand England. I will probably earn more money, and and my brand is probably stronger in England than it is in Jamaica. I don't know, but for me, and I think with the Nigerian or literally with the African countries, they have literally done well. Where a lot of the Premiership stars are like now playing for Nigeria, even though they were born in England.
Wait, what the hell are you talking about?
No. But you are literally talking about boycotting for 6 months. That's not going to happen.
Wait, Tabriz, let me jump in.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying for. I wasn't saying for 6 months. What I was saying is, if you want people to mobilize, you need to take, like Nana was saying, you need to affect them. Like what happened when it was PSG when that game got stopped in the Champions League. You know how much money if that happens, if that starts happening every week, Premier League,
it's not going to happen though. It's not going to happen.
Whatever, no. Why can it not happen?
You have to boycott for 6 months. If all black people actually do that, then suddenly Boris Johnson's going to start getting phone calls like, "Hey, bro, like our money's going, which means your money's going.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's what needs to happen. Until that happens, nothing's going to get done. Let me tell you, if Boris Johnson wanted this issue to stop, he could stop it overnight.
But you are then empowering the people who sent
Exactly.
some tweets, and then every time they'll try and do that every single time.
That's what I'm saying.
A few games.
They're empowered now because they can do it and nothing happens.
No,
That's
but
the
like,
point, because no one with any powers doing anything to
No,
stop
no.
it.
No,
Okay,
they're,
the reason
they're not
they're
getting
not
put to
doing
justice.
anything
But
to stop
if you think sending a couple of monkey emojis to someone can get a Premier League match stopped, that feels empowering. That makes you want to do it more. You know,
Exactly, but because you want to do it now because nothing's happening.
Two
Listen,
things can be true. Two things can be true. I'm not saying you're wrong.
You're not going to do that anymore. That's the point. That's the whole point about accountability. That's what I'm saying. All these people are happy to do it because there's no accountabilibility.
Here's the thing,
I
though.
actually respect someone so much. They're actually a true racist, and like, no, I'm going to say this, knowing I'm going to go to prison. That's how much I'm sure no one even feel it that deeply. That's my point.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
The way that I'm looking at it.
But Jamal, don't you think that it works hand in hand? If like Emeka was saying, if that accountability factor from the social media sites is brought into play and people are boycotting, the point we're making here is, as soon as we make those conversations heard, we make the pockets bleed, it will force them to do something, i.e., let's get your ID before you open.
That's
just too bad. That's what I'm saying. That
that's too bad for business.
It can happen.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. We have to make sure.
Sorry, Jamal. Ray just said social media abuse is completely different from abuse in the stadiums, and that's the thing.
Yeah, I think we should have to make sure. Not saying that Emeka and Nana are saying this, but we have to make sure that all white people don't get punished.
Exactly.
Like, the Premier League. I don't think people should be saying things on Twitter, and then you boycott a Premier League game. You know, that's a bit harsh. You know, and once again, because you should be boycotting Twitter.
Jamal,
Twitter is providing the platform. The Premier League isn't racially abusing their own players.
The only way to hurt Twitter is to hurt the Premier League, because the only way that the Premier League can get involved, shut down Twitter, is by their pockets bleeding, and they're the ones that are going to go to the government. But we need to fix this issue. At the moment, everyone's like, okay, well, they're still playing. All the players like put out messages saying, oh yeah, like love wins, like hate never wins, all this kind of stuff. Everyone's kind of set back, like, you know what, they're not that upset about it. However, I'm not doing anything about it. When suddenly games are getting cancelled left, right, and centre, they're like, oh my gosh, all these contracts we've got are now going out the window. Sponsorship, sponsors now say, actually, you know what, I'm not that interested anymore if it's going to get cancelled every week. Then suddenly Boris is going to get involved, something will get done.
Exactly.
Quickly, they're in. Pretty saying, oh yeah, if people want to boo when they're taking the knees. How are ministers saying this? And they think it's calm. As soon as money starts coming to the equation, it will change very quickly.
I just think that might breed more discrimination, though. That would make chairs and managers a bit apprehensive of signing black players, you know, because I just think that more harm may come from that. It will definitely have an impact. It will 100% have an impact. But we have to make sure that, for one, we don't punish all white people. Like, you know, you can't come on. You know, come on, man. Come on. We don't want. You got someone like Murray on here. You know, we got nothing to do with slavery. You know, Murray didn't capture our ancestors. You know, we have to make sure Murray don't pay for the sins of his ancestors. You know, Premier League could be doing more. Premier League could always be doing more. But you know, people are saying hateful mentions on Twitter. You should stop Premier League.
I've got a question for Paul, as in Paul from People's FC. Have you kind of had any kind of conversations with your sons about what's been happening within football and kind of also outside of football, you know, respecting other people?
Do you know what? My boy just turned 9 last week, and one of his best friends at school is black. You know, he hasn't got me. You know, kids that age. You know, I hope You know, I was talking about education. I'm going to contradict myself now from what I said earlier. When I was younger, I know there were certain words I couldn't tell a black man. Yeah, which obviously a black man could tell a black man, but a white man couldn't tell a black man. You know, but I think, and I knew what was right and wrong. You know, what's the right thing. With my son, he understands that as well. I don't think they've brought up in schools as much as in racism, you know, tweets, hurtful things to be said regarding racism. Because, you know, all it says is, our dad, look, Saka, Rashford and Sancho missed a penalty. Do you know what I mean? So the after effects wasn't spoken about into the school as much. Obviously, we've had a conversation and he knows what's being said is hurtful to people, and he knows that I'm not going to say something that's hurtful. But again, going back to educating, and again, I've just contradicted myself a second time, is it hasn't gone into the schools as much saying, look, this is right and wrong. I totally agree with what Amika says, and I've started petitions, etc. Anyone on social media should be verified. That is the only way that keyboard warriors, maybe up in a term, can stop these slander words to black person or whoever. You know, it needs to be verified. And I totally agree with what Amika says. If you can get a verification to buy chicken and chips, you know, it should be easy enough for Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whoever on the other socials to verify them to stop these words and stuff being said. And the word is accountability. I think it's been brought up enough times. My son knows that he's not going to go and talk to his best friend, and if he misses a goal at playground, he ain't going to call him anything else. You know, he goes, he might go, that's rubbish, you know, but he knows he's not going to say anything derogative or that's going to hurt or a racist in turn.
Okay. Well, guys, we are just over the hour, and I know that we can literally talk about this for another hour. So I just want to, you know, thank everyone. And yeah, listen. I just want to say, I was literally talking to someone a couple of hours before, and they literally felt very, very triggered about this conversation, about this. About racism, because again, there's kind of literally lots of factors, and I've had my own experiences. I'd say a few months ago, there was someone living around where I live now that had a gollywog in their car as an air freshener, and I confronted them about it. And they were literally just, you know, quite blasé about it. They literally took it down, but quite blasé about it. And literally, I just have to laugh about things like that. I can't get mad. I can't get angry. No, tell lie. I can get mad, but hey, right now, what is that gonna prove? The only thing I've got to do is kind of keep on working hard and show like my children about respect and honesty and integrity, and yeah, hey, like, you know, we just have to keep fighting the battle. And again, we are talking about the minority, and again, probably more than 3/4 of them are probably not even football fans. You know, it's, you know, hey, like, you know, we have labeled these as football fans. 3/4 of them are, you know, I've literally just taken the opportunity. So I just want to say that it is the majority, minority. It is the minority.
Stop making excuses for them.
No, I'm not making excuses. Brother,
yeah, but
I
don't like hearing that narrative. It's a small minority of people. Flipping racist. Let's call it what it is.
You know what? It is a minority. You know, people are racist. Yes, 100%. But you know what? Shall I tell you what we can do on the platforms and, you know, in the workplace? We have to show, as in black people, we have to show, and exactly what Paul said, which is unfortunate, we still have to work a little bit harder than white people. And again, that's what my dad said to me as well, and I didn't get it. I didn't understand. But it's true. We just have to keep working. We have to educate our kids. We could have to educate everyone that we know as well.
To breathe.
Coach Barry.
Everyone's just talking, but everybody's just talking about the symptoms. You just hit the point. Why do we have to always wear this mask? No one's talking about what is the establishment racist? Why have you got to be so different at work? And you all do. All of you know what you do at work. All of you wear that mask when you go to work and when you're out there. Why? Because you know it's there. So we know it is. It's all right talking about these little symptoms, but
no. That's you can't paint that with everybody, Barry. I couldn't do my job the way I talk on a Saturday or at training. That wouldn't be professional of me, and I wouldn't be where I am now.
What do you mean? I don't know what you're saying. Say that again, Paul. Do you understand what I said?
No, you're saying that we all put a mask on at work because we know it's there.
Exactly.
That's not necessarily
exactly why.
It's not necessarily because where you work.
I worked in many places, and the other people.
You too. This is a deep conversation that won't be short. That is really deep. That's really deep.
That is wishy-washy stuff.
I hear you.
Well,
but I'm saying the code switching thing you're speaking about, because
I'll leave it then. I won't touch them.
No. I'm just saying that's a show on itself, because I personally think that's why there aren't any black referees in the Premier League, because the way you have to change, the way you have to be to fit in is so constant, and with the pressure, the pressure brings out your true colors. And you will never be able to compete with someone who can be themselves, and you constantly have to be someone else. So that code switching thing is huge. But you cannot go to any sort of black person who comes from upper middle class or upper class in Jamaica, the Caribbean, or Africa, and tell them that their child can't speak rude boy slang, but cannot speak with the upper echelon of British culture. You have to be able to do both, because if you don't do it in your own culture, you're fake. If you cannot do it with that upper echelon, you won't even get an interview. So that's a very, very deep-rooted, very healthy debate, but it's a very deep-rooted situation.
It shows where we are. That debate will show exactly where we are.
Oh yeah, well, it shows where we aren't. That's the thing. It shows where we aren't and where we are, unfortunately, where we can't get to yet.
Yeah. So Jamal Horn from the London FA, Coach Barry, who's the founder of Independent FC, Emeka, who's a semi-professional footballer, Paul, who's the captain of People's FC, Paul, aka Black Klopp, who's the assistant manager at Independent Vets, Coach Murray, who's one of the coaches at the London Olympians, the best and the most successful American football team in the UK. Wow. And then we have Nana. So
wow.
Nana deserved that. Nana deserved that.
Yes. So before we go, next week's show, it is a vet special. We literally have West Fulham, we have Charcoal, we have Dwayne Simpson, we have Catford Wanderers, and we also have West London Rams, and also we have Independent. That show next week is going to be fire, because again, we are going to be talking about Vets football, the emergence of Vets football. There's going to be a lot of banter, conversation, and hey, we will literally. Well, yeah, hey, again,
I don't know about emergence. But you crack on. I don't know about emergence.
But again, again, with the kind of power of social media now, again, a lot of these
social media don't win your games. Social media don't win your games as a certain team.
That's slightly changing.
Okay. Well, you know what?
No. You've got the cup. Bring that next week. Bring that next week and put that on the screen.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right.
Bring
Okay.
that
Well,
next week and put it on the
I
screen.
don't know why you're
There's
biting. You
only-
know you talk a lot of shit. So
Out of
Paul,
those teams that you've said, there's only 2 teams that won cups. So
You know
let
what,
them,
Paul,
let the ones with the big social media, let them chat.
we will literally talk about this next week. Honestly, guys, thank you for this conversation. And again, thank you for being honest and open. My name is Tabrice, the best grassroots defender in the country.
shut up.
I will literally
Shut up.
let you guys
Do you
go.
listen to this every week?
A wonderful
For
Sunday.
fuck's sake.